That's the first half from Denver. A tough ask of the Kings, down 22 at the half. Ryan in Sacktown, joined by Mr. Jerry Reynolds. Jerry, how you doing this evening?
Pretty good. By the way, I got my Grant Napier shirt on here. Look here.
Oh, looking good. Looking
See?
sharp. I mean,
It looks
minus
good,
that
huh?
face. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, I thought, it'd scare everybody that's watching anyway. But, yeah, that first half, well, defense was just really poor. I mean, that's the best way to put it. I mean, you've got to give Denver credit. They're a good team playing smart, but the Kings, you got a lot of excuses if you want to use them. Hopefully, they're not trying to use them at half. The back to back,
Sure.
the the altitude. I mean, certainly Fox's hand bothers him ball handling. There's no doubt about that. So there's excuses there, but it's the NBA, and everybody has to play some of these games. So but the defense, we can always complain about the offense, but if you can't stop anybody, you're not going to win.
Absolutely. I want to get back to that in a second. The first thing that I think is most obvious about this team is they're gassed. They're tired. Ken, you pointed out, but this is why last night was so important, right, Jerry?
Yeah, you just had to get that win, and if there was a negative to the win, because the second half was great, they played terrific, but getting that big hole in the first half,
Yeah.
and they had to play their starters big minutes to get the win, and of course, this would have been tough anyway, but that makes it even double tough. But yeah, but now you're on the road, and so okay, from now on it's game time, and you have to be ready, and I think we'll see a lot about this team in the second half. I don't know, quite honestly. I just don't believe they can get out of this hole. It's a little bigger hole against a better team.
Right, exactly right. 74-52 at the half. Kings on the second night of a back-to-back, toughest back-to-back in the NBA if you're traveling in Denver. I want to ask you a question about the defense really quick, because we've now seen a few teams, and let's take into account the fact that they have tired legs and the altitude, but we've seen a few teams spread the Kings out defensively. Denver has done that to a T tonight. Milwaukee did it a week and a half ago. Jerry, is that something that's picking up on film, or do you think it's a team to team thing?
I think it's more of a team to team thing right now, but your point is accurate. I mean, it may become a league thing.
Yeah.
Depends on how the Kings handle it, and I think to Denver's credit, of course, if you're going to play them mostly man, they don't shoot a lot of threes particularly, but they want to spread the floor, get the cutters, use get into the paint and play. And of course, they are. They're getting pretty much what they want in the paint. They've got a size advantage everywhere. And of course, with Jokic, if you cut and get open, he'll find you. So, yes, Mike Malone obviously is utilizing his best players to the best of their ability.
Yeah, no love lost there when the Kings roll into a Mike Malone team. So Athena says we are going to win this team. Jerry, I ask you how.
Well, I'd have to ask Adina. I mean, how? I'm not sure. I'd love to be wrong here, but I think that right now it's going to be awful tough for the Kings to come back. I think they can maybe make a run, but to make up the difference, after a back to back and against this really good team, I just don't believe they can get it done. I mean, I do think if they play more zone, more active zone, and really just keep Westbrook out of the paint, which is hard to do, and try to deny Jokic at the high post getting the ball against the zone. You can have, I think, more success, but can it be enough? We'll see.
Yeah, Denver inserting Westbrook to the starting lineup, that really changes things for them.
Really does, in a couple of ways. Not only Westbrook, because he's been playing look like a 5 years ago Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
And I mean, he certainly, credit to Coach Malone and Jokic. They have really re-energized him, and he looks like his old self. And then I think with Brown going to small forward, it really gives them some real athleticism. They've got enough size with Porter and Gordon and Jokic anyway. Of course, Gordon's coming off the bench now. But Brown is a smallish but quick and athletic defender, and it really makes him faster and really a little tougher to guard in the open court.
It's a great point. Kings down 22, giving up 40 in the first quarter, 34 in the second quarter. Jerry, if that run doesn't come, if you're Doug Christie, how long do you go with the starters?
Well, that is the question. I mean, obviously, he's probably going to pull them if they can't cut some ground, pretty quick. I will say this. Yeah, they need a run here in the third. They've got to get this thing to, even if they can get it to 12 or 14 points, you're going to play your guys because this is the NBA and you got a chance to win, as we saw last night. I mean, 15, 18 point margins don't mean that much, especially when you've got a half a game to go, but they're going to have to cut into that in the first 6-7 minutes. They're going to have to really legitimately cut 6-8 points out of that lead minimum.
Absolutely. Jerry joining us here at the half. We'll be back post game. Grant will be here. We'll break this thing down for you and get you ready for the next one. Jerry, there's a lot of talk in the chat right now about De'Aaron Fox's finger. Not a lot of clarity on what exactly is going on. We know he's dinged up. Visibly, he's taping it every game, forcing some turnovers here and there. You can only presume. Are they playing this the right way with his finger? Do you think maybe they should try to get this right for a week and see how he recovers? How would you handle the situation?
Well, I'd like to know what exactly it is first. If it's a jam finger, that's one thing. Every basketball player has those things, and it's difficult, obviously, to dribble and to catch some passes, hard passes and things. It doesn't affect shooting as much as people might think if you're planted and set. But
right.
But I would just like to know exactly if it's a fractured finger. Well, probably a week or so won't do any good. You'd have
exactly.
to. He might be out for the rest of the year, and so that's kind of like what Domas went through to some degree a couple of years ago. Can you play with it? But all I'd say, it's harder for a guard to play with those things, and if there's a way to get it fixed. Within a few weeks, if it means a couple of weeks off, and that would really help him, I'd certainly get him that rest. I think now would be the time to do it. But yeah, I wish I'd get more information, to be honest, exactly what it is and what their suggestions would be medically.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up on that. Mike, this is not the Squid Games. We're not asking Jerry for a digit to let De'Aaron borrow for the season. Okay. But
yeah, he wouldn't want my digits, I'm telling
you. You brought up Domas's injury.
I've got one that's kind of crooked too.
Every basketball player, if you play long enough, that's going to happen at some point. You're going to have one that points the wrong direction. You brought up Domas's injury, which obviously was disclosed on the injury report. Keegan dealt with something his rookie year similar, wasn't necessarily disclosed. So where's that line? If De'Aaron really is that hurt, why is it not on the report?
Yeah, that I don't have an answer to that. I think that is the big question. Is like, okay, the league. You're supposed to disclose injuries. Now, if he's playing, I don't know what the rules are there. It is changed, but he is trotting out there every night, so they probably don't have to say he's not questionable or he's not injured. But if he were questionable or was missed a game, then they'd have to give a reason.
Sure.
And so, but I think I really think they should give a reason anyway, because when the announcers are focused on that as much as they are, it just kind of it's like, well, if he's that hurt, he shouldn't be out there, and if he isn't that hurt and he's out there, then move on.
Spot freaking on. Some of the fan base will take it as an excuse. Some are going to worry about De'Aaron. Should he be out there? It's not a good look. You're drawing attention to it. I'm so glad that you said that. Kings down 22 here at the half. Really, any positives for you in the first half there, Jer?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I think the team I thought come out with some energy. But defensively just didn't have the answers at all. And so I'm looking forward. Honestly, I do think that this team has shown so much courage and energy and effort, finding ways to get back in games. And I kind of be surprised if they don't give a run
I
and
agree.
make this a game. I just think it'd be too big a hill to climb to beat this team at this time. But I just have a lot of faith in Coach Christie and these guys. I just don't believe that 22-point margin is going to get him bigger.
I agree with you. I think there is a little bit of a run in them, but ultimately, I think they're probably going to lose this one, but try to get out without any injuries, gear up for New York coming up next on the schedule. As for the bench and what we're seeing, Devin Carter, it looked like he got the first sub instead of Kevin Herter. What are you seeing out of Devin where Coach Christie's kind of going back and forth with him? Is it just a typical rookie thing, or is there something you think he needs to do better?
Well, I think offense is still probably the biggest question with Devin. I mean, he hasn't played enough to make any real judgments, but I mean, he's not real confident of his offensive game. I think defensively, looks like to me he's a solid defensive player right now.
Yeah,
He's going to
agree.
get better as he gets more time and experience. But offensively, that's probably the thing where Coach Christie can't be as sure what he's going to get out of him because he just hasn't really honestly got that much. And then with Herter, the same thing. And Kevin just simply is not productive at all. And so that's it's one of those things where they need to get something between those two guys. Somebody's got to emerge and really start producing.
Yep, completely agree with you. In some ways, I feel a little bit bad for the team tonight because if you're watching really close, they're fighting. They're fighting as much as they can and trying to get through it. It's just like they're running in mud to a degree, and getting in last night at 3:30 in the morning does not help anything. But again, they're professionals. It's the NBA. They play with it. It's that time, Jer. Final score, my friend.
Well, I gotta this hurts my heart a little bit, but I'm taking the Nuggets 130 to 118. I think the Kingies are going to show a lot of heart here and then put maybe a tiny bit of scare in them, and maybe make the Joker sweat a little bit down his brow. I don't know. We can't expect more than that, but 130, 118. That's my call.
Yep, I'm with you. The Nuggets have only beat the Kings during the last 2 years when they've scored 115 or more. They are definitely on that pace right now with 74 at the half. I'm going to say Nuggets 131, Kings 111, Jer. So we're in the same boats. I think they get a little bit of a bigger half in the second.
And we both hope we're wrong. But
Yes, great point.
it will take one of the all-time great halves in Kings history, but we're okay with that. We're okay with that because I'd like for you and Grant, have more to talk about post game, and it's too bad that all the fans can't have one of these shirts. Or look, I just found this. I just got to look at that. That's something.
Look at that. Look at that. I thought it was Halloween again, and you were handing candy out to the kids wearing that thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, that actually the shirt really kind of makes him look a little better than he does in real life.
It's a good point. They embellished.
They really cleared him up there a little bit. He looks almost pretty, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know. They gave him a lot of hair there too. Sorry, Napes. Love you,
sorry,
brother.
Napes. Yeah, well, I'm not sorry, but
you're the best, my friend. Thank you for dropping in as always at the half. We will see you at halftime in the New York game, my friend.
Yes, you will. All right, bring them home, buddy.
All right, Jer. Try not to scare too many people with that shirt.
Okay, yeah.
All right, the one and only Mr. Jerry Reynolds. Speaking of Grant, he will be here at the end of the game, so check in with us. Whether the Kings pull this one off or not, just started here in the second half. We will break it down. We'll talk more about some of the things that you are talking about in the chat, Fox's finger, etc. So be back right here after the game. Grant and I wrap it up, and most importantly, we take your phone calls. So looking forward to seeing you later on after the next 24 minutes. Go Kings! Light the beam. See you after the game.
Light the beam! Light it!